Hey, I'm Danny from Broadway Antique Market, and I'm here on Vintage Therapy. And my co-host today is Melissa Sands, who's the producer of Vintage Garage, which many of you may know from its fantastic launch in Uptown and now in Evanston, which is even more impressive. Hey, Melissa, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Hey, we're going to get a tornado siren here for 1 minute. So if you all hear that,
It's exciting.
it's just a test.
It's always a test. So how did you get started in the vintage business?
Well, again, a long story I'll try to make quick, but in 99, I discovered eBay. Jim, my husband, he was a comic book and card dealer in the 80s. You know, he knew his comics and he still does. But when we got together, we wanted to buy our first house. And I'd heard about eBay and I said, he had this box of promo cars, which in Detroit, you know, they were made in the Detroit area. If you bought like a 64 Lincoln Continental, you got this miniature scale 1 in 24 car that matched it. So he had this giant box of cars that somebody had picked up off the curb in Grosse Pointe. And I said, what if we take these and put them on eBay? Like, what do you think is going to happen? He's like, I have no idea. So I said, okay. Digital cameras were way too expensive. So we got a scanner and we'd put these cars on the scanner, put a blanket over them and scan every side of them. I can't imagine how long this took me now that I like think back on it, especially when like the internet was so slow, you know, dial up and like uploading stuff. It was crazy. But what I learned was, first of all, people wanted these cars. They were really seriously in demand. And the collectors told me everything. They taught me everything. And I was like, if these people are such good collectors and they can teach me everything, what else can I learn? So we ended up making about $10,000 on those cars. And we put that towards the sale of our first house, or the purchase of our first house. And that set me on my way. And, you know, at the time, starting in the antiques world on eBay was kind of that's a faux pas. So I never told anybody, you know, that was my origin story, that I actually came from eBay. And then I learned about local selling, you know, and then I learned that there were other people out there doing shows and doing all this other stuff. I had no idea. So it snowballed and here I am now. It's 2021 and I have my own vintage market. We still sell on eBay and, you know, this is our life.
So how did Evanston happen?
Okay, so Evanston, well, the origin of the garage Uptown had to do with meeting a gentleman in Highland Park near where I live, who happened to have a parking garage and also happened to think that if we could bring people uptown, that might help things uptown. You know, let's bring some people up on the Red Line and show them this place that has kind of been known as a bad area and show them that it's got some potential. And that's exactly what happened. He's a smart guy. And then our building got sold and the garage sold with it. And now it is apartment buildings and that is parking for the building. And they had to do apparently a lot of restoration, blah, blah, blah. So I thought we were done and I was okay with that. And then the city of Evanston came to us and asked us if we wanted to move there. And I said, yes. And so because Evanston's on the Red Line, our customers from Uptown can still come. And, you know, I made a very concentrated effort to really promote along the Red Line because I thought that was where our customers would obviously come from. And luckily, when the lines all kind of matched up, I thought, this is good. This is good. Our customers can still come, and then people will also come from the north. And so now we're going to get started again. This is our 10th season.
Wow. Okay, well, if I were a new, like I'm just gonna say like a wannabe dealer, why would your venue be the right one for me?
Because let's see, something with the Vintage Garage, it's a community, and it is a conglomerate of dealers together, and we're kind of geez, I don't know what's the right word I'm looking for. It's kind of cohesive, and I think everybody really helps each other. If you're new and you've never done this before, I'm going to show you how. I'd be happy to show you how, and I'm happy to guide you. And so are the vendors who are there. You can always, I've had new people ask to be put near people who are experienced and are good at this so that they can, learn. And the people that do the garage, for the most part, really embrace that. And so we have a really good group of vendors who are regular, exhibitors. And I think as a group, I don't think I've ever had a cohesive group like this in anything that Vintage ever does, because there is a lot of competition. And my dealers, for the most part, do not feel that they're really competing with each other in terms of, at the show or selling. Now, maybe they're competing with each other when they go buy stuff someplace. Okay, fine. But when we're all together, it's a really good group.
This is a good segue. So what would be like 3 things you would want to tell a new dealer? What should they know?
Price everything. Make sure everything is priced before you get there. That you're going to, it takes a while, you're building an audience. Okay. You can't expect to come and do one show and be like, oh, well, that didn't work out for me. This show sucks. It's like, well, what did you bring? What did you price it at? Did you look around to see what was selling? So that's another thing I do tell them. Pay attention to who's busy, and really try to look and find out why. How am I up to 2? I hope. And the third one is be kind. Be kind.
Good.
Be nice. There's a lot of stress. Okay. You're coming into a market and we're loading in like bats out of hell, and we're trying to get set up. Everyone is stressed out, including us. And when everybody is kind and gentle and nice to each other, the whole show starts out better and differently. When there's chaos at the beginning and then everybody is upset, by the time the show begins, dealers are annoyed, staff is annoyed, and that doesn't give our customers a good experience. So I would say be kind especially when you're loading in and stuff. There's a lot of stress involved. Don't contribute to it.
That's smart. I love that. What type of items have you seen that sell the best, sell the quickest?
Vinyl, lighting, clothing. Those are the big 3, I think. Art is huge. I mean, I watch all kinds of different kinds of art, whether it's an old beer mirror, or, there's plenty of things to hang on your wall that I see coming out the door. So I would say those are the biggies.
Those are good. I totally concur on that. That's
yeah.
Hope people are listening. That's a really great short list of powerful selling objects. Everything's so politically correct these days, and for the most part, that's a good thing. Do you have any advice to dealers about that you're telling them what they should or shouldn't sell?
No, I haven't really had an issue with that. The only thing that I ask people not to sell is fake bags.
Okay.
I don't want to see fake Coach bags, fake Gucci bags, fake any bags. If you don't know if your bag is fake, it shouldn't be there.
Good.
You need to have really good provenance and history on it if you're going to sell it, because somewhere in the past, probably like 10 years ago, Coach was going after shows and vendors for selling. And yeah, that's something I'm not interested in going to court for. So that's my big one. I mean, obviously, if we saw any kind of knives or weapons or anything like that, I mean, we don't allow that because we just don't. It's liability.
Right.
But otherwise, but I don't have much of a, I've never had to tell people to put it away unless it was a bag that I looked at and had a pretty good feeling that it was fake and that the dealer didn't know. And something that I think is really important that I've heard from dealers before is, well, I didn't know it was fake, so that's not my fault. No, it is. It is your fault.
Right.
If you don't know what you have, it is your fault. And you'll get prosecuted for it if you get caught.
Right.
So there you have it.
I like that, and I think it's so important for dealers to recognize it's not just their reputation; it's the reputation for the whole show. And
Right.
that's why I always tell my dealers too, if they say, something come in, and I said, I'm not picking on you, that has to go, because when there's a complaint, and there will be, it'll be headed in my direction, and it's my reputation. It's the reputation of the entire store, like yours is the reputation of the entire show. And you just don't need that out there. It's just
Sure.
particularly when it's so avoidable.
Absolutely.
So why do you think there are so few markets in Chicago? I get this question all the time. People wanting to go to markets, and why isn't there? Why?
Well, I can give you like probably 20 reasons, but let me start with the simple one. There's not enough money in it. Okay, we're not making a fortune doing this. I mean, this is one of those things that is your passion. And I have known plenty of people over the years, and I'm sure when I started my business, plenty of people said that'll never work. It's never going to happen. But I was determined to show that if you are passionate about vintage, you'll even come to a dirty, shitty parking garage to get it.
Yeah.
And what we had was
not Evanston, by the way. I just want to throw.
No, we're talking about. Oh God, Evanston is a prison. Evanston is definitely the castle. That's okay. Evanston is definitely the castle of parking garages. Yes. It's clean. They clean it. It looks good. I mean, but let's keep in mind, still no electricity. Okay, the lighting is shitty. But we have everything in this one place, one day a month. And for whatever reason, that's appealing to people. And because this is my passion, I was willing to go out on a limb and try this, I think another reason why there are not more shows is I'm the one who has to put the money up every time. There's insurance, there is rent, there is signage. I just bought 6 banners and a giant flag. I mean, so I am putting out hundreds and thousands of dollars to promote, to recruit, to find customers and dealers. It's a lot of work. Yeah. And it's not like we were talking about how people think things are free. And I think what happens is people decide, oh, I can have my own market. I can do it. And they go out and they realize it's not free. Okay. It's not free and it takes time. So let me backtrack a little bit into the vendor. Something I would tell the vendors is, once again, just like me, I had to go through seasons of losing in order to get to seasons where I was winning. So the same thing with the vendors. You can't come in and do one show and then say, this doesn't work for me. I had to keep fighting to get my customers, to get, to build that reputation, and then to build this group of cohesive dealers that people would come for. And it takes all of those things put together. It's just not that simple. It's just not that easy. And then social media. And, you know, I'm a one-man band. I don't have employees. I mean, it's me, my kids now help because they're old enough, and my husband who works his butt off. And so why aren't there more shows? You know, it's just not that simple. And then like what you would have to charge becomes prohibitive because it's expensive. If you charge too much, you're not going to get enough vendors. If you charge too little, then you're not going to make any money and you're not going to be able to pay your bills.
Right.
So it's a fine line. And I think that, again, we're not millionaires and we're never going to be from this business, but we make a decent living and we love what we do. And so that's important. And that's why we're here. So yeah, that's why. And that's also another reason why shows go out of business, because all of that stuff is really hard. All of it is really hard. So if you don't have a handle on kind of what's happening, where things are going, it's just going to be difficult. But sure, give it a shot.
I so agree. Very often we'll have people come into the store. It could be locals, if from out of town, doesn't really matter, and say, I want to go to another place just like this. And not to be snotty, but I'll often say, well, there's not another place just like this. You're here right now. You know, what can I sell you? There are lots of great stores, and I'll give you, we pass out cards and flyers to everything that's going on and shows in town, such as yours. But I've often joked, I said, I could rent a small town in Indiana for the amount of money it has taken to create this, you know. And if you're still disappointed, and people often are, I'm sorry, but you know, but I'm not. But I want to segue into the last thing you said, because I really like that. So, what fills your heart from this? What's the takeaway for you from doing this? This is so much work. What's in it for Melissa?
Well, I don't know. Now that you say it like that, 18 months ago, I may have told you nothing. I'm over it. I'm done. I am just one of those people that when I am passionate about something, I need to know everything. Okay. I need to know everything. I needed to know how to sell online. I needed to know how to sell at auction. I needed to know how to sell at a show. I needed to know how to be a show promoter. I needed all of that because for whatever reason, it's like, I just need to grab the whole business because I loved it so much. So 18 months ago, I might've told you I was over it. Having this break from COVID, thank you, COVID. I spent a lot of that time, I wasn't sure if I would be coming back. And the closer we got to coming back, the more excited I got. So what fills me? I love the history. I love to look back on, you know, we moved here in almost 12 years, and to learn about Chicago history and to like learn about what it was like growing up here, what it was like, you know, for your grandparents growing up here. And to me, that's all just fascinating. It's just, you know, it's gotten to the point where it's nice when you find something that's cheap and that you can make a few bucks on. That's awesome. And it's the big part of it that I still love. But for me, it's all of it. Now I'm disgusted with big box stores. You know, I've been disgusted, you know, you and I have had that conversation many times about IKEA and all these other things. Now I'm passionate because we carry things nobody else has. Right. You know, where is anybody getting solid wood furniture today? Anybody? Any new solid wood furniture out there that isn't custom made and costing you tens of thousands of dollars to have made? It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So it's like they can come to Broadway and buy a solid wood desk for under $1,000. That's never happening anywhere else except the vintage world. So it was funny, I saw something yesterday on one of the groups on Facebook, and somebody had posted that It was a china cabinet, and they wanted $400 for it. And everybody's going, no, you can do better than that. I answered, no, you could maybe if you really wanted to continue. I said, but where are you getting a solid wood china cabinet for $400? It's not happening. You're not going to a new store and getting that. You can't even get it. It's all particle board. It's all veneer. It's not. So there's a quality level to what we offer. And I almost feel like, I think maybe the excitement began for me again because I feel like right now, people are getting into this again. They're really getting into it again, and they're seeing it for what it is. And then with supply shortages and things, it's affecting every single, what do you call it, segment of our world. You can't get it's hard to get new cars right now. I said, furniture's all made in China. So it has to be shipped over on shipping containers, which are incredibly far behind. They're parked out in the ocean, waiting for a spot to get in and unload. And this is going to happen for a while. This has been going on kind of behind the scenes, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. Coming into the fall, I can see supply shortages on a lot of different things you're just not going to be able to get. So in my mind, you can get that stuff from us. And if you do, you're smart.
I think you should bring this up. I think it's one of the few silver linings of COVID was that once everybody is, understandably sheltering in place at home, and they suddenly are looking around their own four walls, which I always say just reflects who you are. That all the cool stuff behind you and cool stuff behind me reflects who we are. But almost bigger than that is people, I think, which we knew it in our hearts, they're going to get this, they're going to understand, is value. So it's really, when you're talking about quality and value, it's just a word, it's an old word, but people don't feel ripped off when they buy vintage. It's like, I got it. No, they shouldn't. Well, I don't think generally they don't. That's when it's just like, everybody was out running around for a desk, and they bought some really cool desks. But that is so integral to this. And then because I think once people get that, that vintage bug, but part of it is that they feel that they weren't ripped off. They didn't buy some,
well, and let me tell you a little quick story, something that I realized that I did that I wasn't even really trying to do. And that is my living room and dining room. Okay. So first of all, if you're a dealer, which we both are, you probably, let's see, I'm trying to say that we both do this, but I'm not sure if you do. How many times has your house been full of stuff? And I made a rule that in my living room and dining room, there was not going to be any more stuff. Like, that is a livable area and I'm going to live in it. But one day I looked around and I added up the cost of everything in my living room and dining room. And my cost was about $700 total, including the television. Okay. So I looked around and I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. 700. I mean, there's a kitchen table. There's our dining room table, dining room chairs, a little hutch, another little hutch, another, Chinese coffee table, and a silver chrome shelf with stuff on it. And you can't get a set of 4 chairs for $700.
Right. That's right.
I mean, so it was like, I didn't even mean to do it, but I realized that I did it. And then I thought, this is really fun. I'm going to do it again. So I got rid of everything and I refilled up the dining room and the living room, not with merchandise, but the couch and the chair and all of the things that went with it. And because of that, I can redo my living room and dining room as many times as I want. You could do it once a year. I mean, think about how many estates have you been in where you find the couch and it's sealed in plastic and nobody ever got another couch because they paid so much money for it that they had to zip it up in plastic to keep it nice.
Right.
And if you're buying resale and you're buying vintage, you can afford to change it, change it around, move it around. And, if you're smart about the things you buy, you can also get a little value out of it if you want to resell it.
Right.
So I'm not saying you're always going to make money, but if you can get some of your money back, well, that's never happening with anything you buy at Target.
No.
Nothing.
No.
So hope that rant is enough for now anyway. We'll probably get into that subject in depth in our, upcoming episodes. So, because I would say vintage therapy has a lot to do with this stuff.
Absolutely. It's about the stuff. It's about history and the stuff. Hey, this has been great. Thank you, Melissa.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm excited to be here, and I'm pumped that we're going to keep this going, and we're going to give you all some vintage therapy.
Yeah. Watch the next episode.